The towel slipped from my hands, but I didn't flinch. Her laugh, a dry, hollow chuckle that bounced off the laundry room tiles, lingered in the air like mildew. "You're lucky I even let you touch me." That's what she said. Like I was some charity case who'd won a raffle. Like decades of providing, fixing, covering her mistakes, and paying off her credit card messes were just some tribute she tolerated out of politeness. She turned, humming, tossing her blouse into the dryer like nothing had happened. I just watched her. Not angry, not even sad. Something quieter, sharper. I folded the last t-shirt, that old one from the state fair we went to, before her veneers, before her Pilates instructor with the stupid name, before she stopped asking how my day was. I folded it with more care than I'd handled her in months. Then I placed it neatly on the stack and walked out. In the hallway, her phone buzzed. A giggle. Another message. Another little compliment from whoever she thought was her escape hatch. Her voice had changed when she texted lately. Eerier, like she was 20 again. I used to like that sound. Now it just reminded me how good liars enjoy the setup. I passed the hall mirror and looked at myself. Wrinkled, maybe slower than I was at 40, sure. But I built machines that carved titanium to half a human hair's width. I ran a team of 20 men who didn't dare miss a measurement. I wasn't some slob hoping for scraps of affection. In this house, though, I was a placeholder. And placeholders don't argue. We execute. I went downstairs into the office. That drawer hadn't been opened in a while. Not since I printed out her client meeting calendar from iCloud and noticed it included one too many Tuesday dinners at the Burstone. Conveniently, never billed to the brokerage account. Inside the drawer was the box. Small, smooth oak. I'd carved it myself after retiring. It was supposed to hold cufflinks. Instead, it held clarity. Empty still. Not for long. I flipped open my laptop. No rush, no drama. Just a man doing what he always did, cataloging, protecting, cleaning up someone else's mess. The folder was still there, waiting for the day she smirked. First up, email printouts. A realtor friend had CC'd her on messages about fun weekends in Ridge Hill. The dates matched perfectly with the training retreats she claimed to be on. One even had a rental car receipt in her name, with a second driver added. Not me. Then the texts. I'd synced her phone to the family iPad 6 months ago. She never noticed. Thought it was just for Netflix in the guest room. One thread stuck out. Can't wait to see you outside the sheets for once, LOL. He sent back a mirror selfie from a hotel bathroom. I recognized the wallpaper. The Burstone again. Funny how betrayal has a scent. That place always smelled like lavender and stale desperation. That night, after she drifted off to sleep, I sat in the office again. The box sat in the middle of the desk. Brass hinges, polished last spring. Empty, for now. But soon, it would be the vault holding every piece of proof I needed. Vanessa always thought I was the kind of man who didn't check receipts. Maybe that was true, but I checked patterns. And people like her always left fingerprints. I started stacking the emails by date. Chronology matters when you're about to dismantle someone's sense of safety. Then came the texts. The iPad lit up in my hands, unlocked without a passcode. In her head, tech was just wires and chargers. To me, it was leverage. I didn't rush. She'd call me slow for years. You move like you're buffering, she once joked in front of friends. They laughed. I smiled. Slowness isn't weakness, it's precision. One text stopped me cold. He's nice but dull. A placeholder. My life started late. Dull. Placeholder. I didn't grip the desk out of anger. I gripped it to steady myself so I wouldn't laugh. The sheer gall of a woman who lived in a house I paid for, whose car loan I covered, calling me a placeholder. I clicked save. Dropped the files into a USB drive labeled June Justice. One copy in the desk drawer, one in the cloud, and one hidden in the shed, inside an old socket wrench case she'd never touch. The next morning, she came down in that smug little robe she wore when she wanted to play affectionate wife. You didn't say goodnight, she said, tone laced with fake concern. I figured you were tired of touching me, I replied. Smiled. She blinked. You're being dramatic. I nodded like a man who didn't mind being underestimated. Because men like me, we don't need second chances. We need evidence. She laughed it off and left for her morning showing. I watched her drive away in the Range Rover I made possible, then turned back to the oak box. The first few items went in that day. A printout of her fun weekend emails, 2 screenshots of hotel receipts, and one photo of her smiling into a mirror in that same hotel bathroom. Evidence isn't just about truth. It's about timing. And I was going to time this perfectly. I started small. First, I called the brokerage where she worked, pretending to be an old client who'd lost her number. Got the receptionist chatting. People always talk more than they realize if you sound friendly enough. Learned that Vanessa had been away from the office a lot lately for special projects. That was code. I knew their code. Second, I called an old buddy who worked IT for the Burstone hotel chain. Told him I was helping my wife with her travel reimbursement forms and needed to confirm a few dates. The hesitation in his voice told me he knew exactly what was going on, but the fact that he still confirmed 2 different stays under her name with the same second guest told me he didn't care enough to cover for her. Third, I started my favorite part, observation. She thought I never noticed when she left her phone on the counter while she went to the bathroom. I did. I also noticed her new habit of flipping it face down. Rookie move. One Tuesday night, she came home exhausted from a team dinner, still in full makeup, smelling like a mix of expensive cologne that wasn't mine and hotel lobby air freshener. I waited until she fell asleep on the couch, then checked the iPad sync. Bingo. You're the only thing keeping me sane. Don't make me wait another week. Her reply, you'll get your reward Friday, face blowing a kiss. Friday. I marked it on my calendar, not in my phone, just the old paper one in my desk drawer she never looked at. At breakfast the next morning, I poured her coffee, slid the mug across the counter, and said, big plans Friday? She froze for half a second, then smiled. Just a client dinner. Sounds fun, I said. Don't let me keep you. The thing about liars, they're not afraid of being caught in a lie. They're afraid of you already knowing the truth. By the time Friday came, the oak box had grown heavier. Emails, texts, receipts, and a brand new item, a USB stick with a full copy of her synced message history, labeled in big black letters. Open when ready. Because Friday was going to give me the last piece I needed. Friday morning felt like any other. Coffee, toast, her pretending to be in a rush. Me pretending not to notice the extra 20 minutes she spent in the bathroom with the curling iron. She breezed through the kitchen in a pencil skirt I'd never seen before. Black, with a slit that stopped just shy of inappropriate for the client dinner she claimed to have. Matching heels. Designer, though she would swear she got them on sale if I asked. I didn't ask. I poured my second cup of coffee instead. Don't wait up, she said with a little wink. These people are big spenders. I need to keep them happy. I almost laughed. I'm sure you will. She was gone by 8:15 a.m. Not for the dinner, obviously. That was hours away. But she had to get into character early, apparently. I gave her a head start, then went upstairs and retrieved the USB drive from the oak box. I'd already set up a small webcam in my office that faced the desk, specifically the oak box, just to see if she ever snooped. She had. Twice. Both times when she thought I was at the hardware store. Both times, she opened the box, saw nothing incriminating, and left it alone. That was the point. The real evidence wasn't there yet. It was still in my possession, scattered across multiple backups. By 9:30 a.m., I was parked 2 blocks from the Burstone Hotel. Old habits from my engineering days. I like to watch a process from the start. Sure enough, at 10:12 a.m., the Range Rover pulled into the lot. She stepped out, head swiveling like she was scanning for cameras. He was already waiting near the lobby doors. Tall, broad-shouldered. The type of guy who buys tight shirts one size too small just so you can see he owns a gym membership. I recognized him instantly, the contractor who'd worked on our deck 2 summers ago. I'd offered him a beer back then. He'd thanked me like a son. Now he was opening the hotel door for my wife. They disappeared inside, but I didn't follow. No, I had something better planned. I already knew what was going to happen in that room. What I wanted was a timestamp, a clear picture of her walking in, and the matching room number from my friend in hotel security, all of which I received via text within 15 minutes. Then I drove home. Slowly, carefully. I wasn't in a hurry. Precision is never in a hurry. Once back, I opened the laptop and began assembling the file I'd been waiting to build. I called it the presentation, all caps. Inside, screenshots of her text history, photos from the hotel security feed, copies of her expense reports from the brokerage showing client dinners on the same dates as her hotel stays. A short video clip of her leaving our house in client dinner attire and arriving at the Burstone in the middle of the morning. The piece de resistance? A copy of our prenuptial agreement, highlighted in all the right places. The clauses she'd forgotten existed. The ones that voided her claim to spousal support in the event of infidelity, provided proof was undeniable. By 4 p.m., I'd also drafted a short, polite email to her managing partner at the brokerage. Subject line: regarding Vanessa's client engagements. Attached: the same folder, minus anything too personal. Just enough to make them start questioning her judgment. I didn't send it. Not yet. At 6:42 p.m., my phone lit up with a text from her. Running late. Don't wait up, red heart. I sent back a thumbs up. When she finally rolled in at 11:09 p.m., she was all flushed cheeks and fake exhaustion. I was sitting at the kitchen island, sipping tea. Not coffee. Tea is calmer. How was dinner? I asked. She dropped her purse on the counter and poured herself a glass of wine. Long, boring. You know how it is. I do. I sipped. Which hotel was it this time? She froze for half a second before recovering. Hotel? It was at the LeClaire Steakhouse. What? I shrugged. No reason. She gave me a look, half suspicion, half dismissal, then padded off toward the bedroom. When I joined her, she was already in bed, scrolling her phone. Don't start tonight, okay? I'm exhausted. Wouldn't dream of it, I said. But I did dream. Not that night. My mind was too clear for that. I was already thinking 3 moves ahead. The next morning, while she was out on her Saturday run, I visited the bank. Opened a separate account in my name only. Transferred the contents of our joint savings into it, minus the exact amount I could prove had been contributed by her paychecks. Numbers matter. Lawyers like numbers. Then I went to the storage unit I'd been quietly renting for 6 months. Inside, on a sturdy metal shelf, I placed the oak box, now filled with everything. No more decoy. The real thing this time. And in front of it, I taped an envelope with her name on it. The note inside was simple. This is everything you worked so hard to hide. Don't worry, it's not going to waste. P.S. Check your email Monday. That Saturday night, I made her favorite dinner. The one she used to gush over before she found client dinners more exciting. She smiled, maybe even thought I was making some last-ditch effort to win her back. We talked about nothing. She laughed at a joke I made. For a moment, you'd think we were fine. That's the beauty of precision. You can make the opponent think you're playing checkers while you're already lining up the final move in chess. When we went to bed, she kissed me on the cheek. I pretended to be asleep by the time she turned over. Sunday was uneventful. She scrolled Instagram for most of the day, liking photos of houses she'd never sell. I spent the afternoon in the garage, tuning up the lawnmower. She thought I was wasting time. I was biding it, because Monday was coming. And Monday would be the day she learned what it's like to have the ground disappear beneath you, without a single warning. I'd already scheduled it all. At exactly 9 a.m., her managing partner would get the email. At 9:05, our lawyer, yes, our lawyer, would receive the same evidence, along with the signed divorce petition I'd prepared weeks ago. At 9:10, my friend in IT at the hotel would send her a polite message confirming her rewards program had been terminated due to inappropriate guest conduct. And at 9:15, Vanessa would open her phone and find one more message from me. Just 2 words. Checkmate. She'd think the worst part was losing her job, or the public embarrassment, or the fact that the prenup would leave her with nothing but the clothes she owned and the Range Rover I'd already arranged to have repossessed under my name. But she'd be wrong. The worst part would be realizing I'd been one step ahead the entire time. Watching. Waiting, letting her believe she was the clever one. And when that realization hit, that would be my real revenge. I woke up before the alarm. Not because I was anxious, quite the opposite. The kind of calm I felt that morning only happens when you know the day ahead will unfold exactly as you designed it. Vanessa was still asleep, tangled in the sheets like a teenager after prom night. I brewed coffee, the old-fashioned way, stovetop percolator, slow and steady. The gurgle and hiss were oddly satisfying. Today was going to be efficient. At 8:45 a.m., I was in the garage, mug in hand, leaning against the workbench. My phone sat on the shelf beside me, the email scheduler already queued. 9 a.m., sent to managing partner. 9:05 a.m., sent to attorney. 9:10 a.m., hotel message goes out. All I had to do was press a button and watch the dominoes fall. I'd rehearsed the timing like an engineer mapping a production line. The beauty of it was that each domino didn't just topple. It triggered the next one automatically. Cause and effect, perfectly spaced. At 8:59 a.m., I tapped send. Somewhere downtown, her managing partner was just biting into a bagel when his inbox lit up with my polite subject line regarding Vanessa's client engagements. The attachment, for neatly labeled files, told the whole story. Dates, receipts, photos, a copy of her client dinner expense reports with the Burstone's signature logo front and center. I didn't have to speculate on his reaction. Men in his position don't like mess. And Vanessa had just dragged a pile of it through the lobby of their business. At 9:05 a.m., my lawyer received his package, same files, plus the divorce petition and my prenup highlight reel. He already knew about the infidelity clause. We discussed it 2 weeks earlier over lunch. His exact words were, "If this is accurate, she walks away with what she brought in, and judging from her account history, that's not much." By 9:10 a.m., the hotel's IT system sent its little courtesy note. Due to recent reports, your rewards membership has been suspended. Please contact guest relations for further details. That would sting. She loved that loyalty card like it was a passport. Points meant upgrades, champagne on arrival, late checkouts, all the luxuries that made her feel like she was living a better life than the rest of us. At 9:15 a.m., I sent my message. Just 2 words. Checkmate. From the garage, I heard the muffled sound of her ringtone upstairs. 3 beats later, the patter of hurried footsteps. A door creaked open. Silence. Then the sharp slam of the bedroom door. I sipped my coffee. Vanessa didn't come down until almost 10 o'clock. She was still in her robe, hair wild, phone clutched like a lifeline. She didn't say good morning. She didn't even sit. She stood in the doorway, eyes darting, jaw tight. What did you do? I didn't look up from the garage shelf I was reorganizing. Depends on which thing you're asking about. Her voice was sharp. Don't play games with me, Martin. My boss just called. He says I'm suspended pending review. Someone sent him. She cut herself off, like the words were acid. Oh, that sounds serious, I said, placing a wrench neatly into the toolbox. Hope it's nothing to do with those, client dinners. Her nostrils flared. You think you're clever? I know I am. She stepped into the garage, arms folded. This is going to blow up in your face. You've just made yourself look like some jealous psycho. Do you think this will get you anything in court? That's the difference between you and me, Vanessa, I said calmly. I don't think. I know. The prenup says adultery voids your right to spousal support. Guess what counts as adultery? She blinked. For once, there was no quick comeback. Just a faint tremor in her voice when she said, "You're a bastard." No, I said, setting my mug down. I'm the man who gave you more chances than you deserve. She stared at me, eyes narrowing, like she was trying to gauge how much I really knew. She didn't realize I knew everything. Her phone buzzed again. She glanced at it, and I caught the flicker of panic when she read whatever was on the screen. I knew who it was from before she said a word. What did you do to the hotel? I shrugged. Nothing, but they might not appreciate their facilities being used for non-paying guests. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. She turned and stormed back inside, muttering something about calling her lawyer. Perfect. At 11:20 a.m., I heard the front door slam. The Range Rover's engine roared to life. I didn't follow. I didn't need to. Instead, I drove to the storage unit, unlocked the door, walked straight to the shelf where the oak box sat, exactly where I'd left it. I opened it one last time, thumbing through the stack of printed proof. It was heavy now, emails, texts, hotel logs, screenshots of her smiling into a mirror while he brushed his teeth in the background. I slid the box back into place, shut the door, and turned the key in the lock. By the time I returned home, the voicemail light on the landline was blinking. 3 messages. The first was from her. Fury in every syllable. You think you've won? You haven't seen me fight yet. The second was from my lawyer. She called me. Threatened to counterclaim. I told her to read the prenup more carefully. Call me when you can. The third was from someone I didn't expect. Her contractor. His voice was low, almost nervous. Look, man. I didn't know she was still married. I thought you two were separated. She told me. Click. He didn't finish. I deleted all 3. Around 2 p.m., Vanessa returned. She looked different. Not in the way a person looks after crying. More like she'd been forced to swallow something she couldn't stand the taste of. She didn't speak to me. Went straight upstairs. That was fine. The real show wouldn't be today. It would be in a week, when she sat across from me in the conference room and realized every single exit was blocked. Financially, legally, socially, I gave her the rest of Monday to stew. She slammed cupboards. She stomped down the hall. She even made a few loud phone calls in the kitchen, clearly for my benefit. Words like harassment and lawyer floated into the garage where I was oiling the mower. By dinner, she'd gone quiet. That's when I knew the panic had settled in. She didn't touch her plate. I didn't push it. When I turned in for the night, she was still sitting at the kitchen island, glass of wine in hand, staring at her phone. "You'll regret this," she said without looking up. "I doubt it," I replied, and shut the bedroom door behind me. Monday had gone exactly as planned. But Tuesday would be the first day she woke up realizing she wasn't the predator anymore. She was the prey. I woke up to silence. No clattering of her coffee mug. No heels clicking on the tile. No fake phone calls to clients. Vanessa was still in bed, eyes open, staring at the ceiling. She didn't look at me when I got up. "You're late," I said. She didn't answer, just reached for her phone, scrolling like she was searching for a miracle hidden between Instagram ads and spam emails. I poured my coffee and waited. I knew the silence wouldn't last. Vanessa was incapable of holding it in. Sure enough, by the time I'd finished my first cup, she wandered into the kitchen, hair messy, robe barely tied. "They want me in a meeting at 3 o'clock, she said flatly. "Work?" I asked, pretending not to know. "Yes. They're calling it an internal review." She tapped the countertop with her fingernail. "Do you know anything about that?" I sipped. "Can't say I do." Her eyes narrowed. "You're enjoying this, aren't you?" I didn't deny it. A little. The truth was, I wasn't just enjoying it. I was studying it. Watching her go from smug certainty to creeping dread was like observing a system under stress. At first, it resists. Then, it fractures. By 11 a.m., she was dressed for battle, black blazer, tailored slacks, makeup heavier than usual. She stood in front of the mirror adjusting her necklace like it might shield her from whatever was coming. "You know," I said from the doorway, "if you get fired, the prenup clause about loss of income doesn't work in your favor." She froze, turned slowly. "You set this up so I'd lose my job." "No," I said. "You set it up. I just made sure someone noticed." Her glare could have cut glass. She grabbed her bag and stormed out without another word. The moment the garage door closed, I opened my laptop. The divorce petition was already printed, sitting in a neat stack on my desk. I slid it into a large envelope with a cover letter to her attorney. Short, professional, impossible to twist into something emotional. Then I made 2 calls. First, to my lawyer. She's in her 3 o'clock review. I want the petition on her desk before she gets home. Second, to my contact at the brokerage. I'll have that statement ready for the press if you decide you need it. Because this wasn't just about ending the marriage. This was about controlling the narrative. Vanessa's entire social life was built on image. She played the polished, in-control real estate broker who juggled deals, charity galas, and a perfect home life. Destroy the image, and you destroy the leverage. At 2:47 p.m., my phone buzzed. A text from my contact. "Meeting's tense. HR involved." She's defensive. At 3:12 p.m., she's crying now. Partner's stone-faced. At 3:31 p.m., "It's over. Suspension without pay pending investigation." I closed my laptop. Step 1, complete. She didn't come home until nearly 6 p.m. The heels came off the second she walked through the door, clattering to the floor. She dropped her bag on the counter, sat down heavily, and poured herself a glass of wine without offering me one. "They suspended me," she said, voice trembling with a mix of anger and disbelief. "They said my judgment could be damaging to the firm's reputation. Like I'm some criminal." "That's rough," I said evenly. "What's the plan?" She shot me a look. "Plan? Yeah. What's your next move? Find another brokerage? Or maybe work with your contractor friend full-time?" Her cheeks flushed. "You're vile." "I'm thorough," I corrected. That's when she noticed the envelope on the counter. Thick, legal-sized, her name on it in my handwriting. She didn't touch it right away, just stared at it like it might be a snake. "What's that?" "Read it." She slid a manicured finger under the flap, pulling out the neatly stapled petition. Her eyes darted down the first page, and I could see the moment she hit the words irreconcilable differences and infidelity. "You're actually doing this," she whispered. "I told you," I said. "Checkmate." She slapped the papers onto the counter. "You think you're going to walk away from this clean?" You think people are going to believe you over me? I think they're going to believe the photos, the receipts, and the hotel security footage, I said calmly. And the prenup says that's all I need. She stood there, breathing hard, hands gripping the counter edge. For the first time, she looked less like the calculating woman I'd married and more like someone who'd just realized the game wasn't rigged in her favor after all. You'll regret this, she said again. I doubt it. We ate dinner in silence. Well, I ate. She pushed her food around the plate like she was negotiating with it. When she finally stood to put her dish in the sink, she muttered, I'll see you in court. I didn't bother looking up. I'll send you the address. After she went upstairs, I stayed at the table, finishing my meal slowly. This was the part no one warns you about. The calm after the blow, the eerie quiet when your opponent is reeling and you know they're going to spend the night trying to decide whether to counterattack or surrender. I didn't care which she chose, because by tomorrow, the second wave would hit. And unlike today, tomorrow wouldn't just take away her job. It would take away her friends. Vanessa woke up late. No run, no calls, no chirpy Instagram stories. Just coffee at the table and dead silence. I could see it in her eyes. She'd been up half the night, probably making frantic calls to her so-called friends. What she didn't know was that I'd already made mine. By noon, 3 of her closest allies had a link sitting in their inboxes. The file contained only what was already public record, the hotel receipts and her own Instagram posts, but lined up in a way that made the story obvious. I didn't have to embellish. The timeline spoke for itself. By dinner, I heard her on the phone upstairs, voice low and sharp. No, it's not what it looks like. Well, I can explain. Her explanations didn't sound convincing. I let the quiet work for me. People think revenge is about noise. It's not. It's about letting someone hear the echoes of their own mistakes until they can't stand it anymore. She came down mid-morning, still in pajamas, and said, Someone's been sending things to my friends. You wouldn't. I cut her off. Wouldn't what? Tell the truth. Her jaw clenched. She didn't ask again. That night, my lawyer called. She's asking for mediation. That's a good sign. Good for me, anyway. Mediation meant she knew she couldn't win a fight that I spent the morning at the storage unit. Pulled the oak box down one last time. Flipped through every page, every screenshot, every photo. Not because I needed to, because I wanted to feel the weight of it. When I put it back, I left the envelope with her name taped to the lid. Not for her to find now, but in a few weeks, when she came to clear out what little she'd be allowed to take. Inside was a single sheet of paper. This is what you traded for nothing. The final meeting was on a Tuesday afternoon, in a beige conference room that smelled like stale coffee. Vanessa sat across from me in a navy dress, makeup perfect, smile brittle. Her lawyer did most of the talking. When it was my turn, I slid the prenup across the table, the highlighted clauses glowing like caution tape. Then I added a thin folder with the latest bank statements. My accounts, clean and separate, her accounts, nearly drained from her own spending. Her lawyer glanced through it, sighed, and said, We'll sign. That was it. Years of marriage, reduced to a pen stroke. She stood, gathering her bag, and for a second I saw the woman I'd married. The charm, the poise. But it was gone as quickly as it came. On my way out, I held the door for her. Vanessa, I said. She stopped. Enjoy your new life, I told her. You earned it. She didn't reply. That night, I drove to the storage unit, took the oak box, and set it in the passenger seat. The box had served its purpose. I didn't need it anymore. I left it on a park bench downtown, just before midnight. Inside, on top of the evidence, I'd placed a single chess piece, the Black King, tipped on its side. Let her wonder if it was still out there somewhere. Let her keep looking over her shoulder. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't the blow you land. It's knowing they'll spend the rest of their life waiting for the next one.